Hi everyone, and welcome to the fifth installation of the Get Certified series. I'm Anu, and I will be talking to you about the Google Display Network and how you can get certified on the Display Network today. Now, before we get started, let me remind you that this is a live event. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat box throughout the presentation, and I'll try to answer them either through the Hangout or towards the end. Also, I will be keeping this a little brief and also basic because it's only a 45-minute presentation. But should you have any questions, as I mentioned, do feel free to pop them in and I will be happy to answer you for them. So without further ado, let me tell you what we're going to talk about today. We've divided this presentation up into 5 sections. First, we're going to talk about the Google Display Network, how we can set up your campaign on the Google Display Network, how you can find the right audience for your business objectives, how your bidding strategies are going to be optimized based on your business objectives, and finally, how do you know if the display network is doing well for you? So how do you measure and optimize your campaigns? Before we get into anything else, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about the Google Display Network. Now, the Google Display Network is one of the largest that is out there. With a reach of over 90% of global internet users, the display network essentially means that you can place your ad on Google properties such as Gmail, Blogger, YouTube, and also a bunch of our partner sites, which gives you a lot of engagement and also a lot of reach. Also, a unique thing about the display network is that we have so many ad formats that you can find the correct ad format for you. Native advertising, responsive advertising, whatever you name it, we've got it for you. On that note, what are the ad types that you can use while on the display network? So the first 3 that you see on your screen are essentially the basic ad types. You have text ads, which, as the name suggests, are largely text ads, usually expanded text ads with 2 headlines, and are usually paired with an image or some sort of a logo pulled from your site. You also have video ads, which would largely be YouTube videos, either on YouTube itself or on our display network sites. And then you have image ads, or as they were known, banner ads, which are largely static images. And depending on your creative, they can be in multiple sizes. And whatever suits you best, they'd be static images with a line of copy on them. Now, the next 2 ad types are the ones that are super exciting and relatively new as well. The first one is called rich media ads. Rich media ads are essentially ads that use video, audio, animation, and other engagement features to help you engage with your audience and also entice them to go ahead, click, and visit your site. You also have something called lightbox ads. Now, the lightbox ads are super unique because they deliver rich media video ads and rich media ads, but they're optimized for clicks and swipes. So as the user engages with your ad, say they hover over the ad and don't click on it, but just simply hover over it, right? The ad will expand to take up more space on the site. Wherein if a user is not really interested in the ad and not hovering over it, it'll be a smaller part of the user's web page, which is why it will take a little less space, be a little more unobtrusive, but also look and feel the exact same as any other display network ad. Which is why lightbox ads tend to be super exciting because they help you engage with your users in a very, very unique manner. Then you have dynamic display ads. Now, dynamic display ads essentially adapt to mirror the user's search term. So the way dynamic ads work is based on what is usually called dynamic remarketing, where you create a feed of all the products or services along with attributes such as unique IDs, images, and price. Your ads are shown to people who visited your website with details about the items that they viewed while they were browsing your site. And the way we do this is the feed that you provide and with the unique IDs, prices, etc., is what we pull the information from. So each time a user visits the site, a cookie is dropped and we retain information about what the user was viewing on the site. And once they're browsing the display network, say on a completely different site, reading a piece of news or an editorial, you can then go ahead and remarket the specific items that they were looking at on your site and make sure that they engage with your website in a very unique manner. Now, dynamic ads are mostly used for Google Display Network remarketing and show the most relevant product to people who used your website thanks to our recommendation engine. And you can create these as text, image, or HTML5 ads to showcase products or services from the feed. Now, HTML5 is quite easy to use, doesn't need any plugins, unlike the Flash ads that were used before that. So if you're looking at creating engaging animated ads, HTML5 might be a good option for you. Now, if on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll also notice there's something called app promotion ads. Now, in a day and age where most things are not just on mobile, but also on app promotion apps are in a unique place to help you target new installs of your application by targeting creatives across the Google Display Network. So they come with a small download button along with your display creative, which users can immediately click while they're browsing on their mobile phones, and they'll be redirected to your App Store link or your Play Store link as such. You can also use those apps, ads, to create engagement among existing users if that's what you'd like. But they're largely also really, really popular as driving engagement and installs amongst new users. Now that we know a little bit about what the display network is and what the various ad types are for your needs, let's talk about how you can set up the campaign and how you can choose the right features for your ads. So there are two large campaign types that run on the display network. One is the display network only, which, as the name suggests, means your ads would only run on the Google Display Network. The other one is called Search Network with Display Select. Now, this is a campaign type that's largely geared towards the search network. So you're targeting most of the search network and Google search partners, but you're also making your ads eligible to show up on the display network as and when necessary or as and when deemed appropriate by our recommendation engines. So your ads would display on the search network and partner websites when people search for your terms and keywords, but also on the Google Display Network when it's appropriate for the ads to serve. So if you're looking at sort of the best of both worlds and you want to explore display while search is your strong suit, this is a campaign type that will be very relevant and appropriate for you. You also have mobile app install campaigns, which, as the name suggests, is again to get people to install your mobile app. AdWords can help customize your targeting, your keywords, and even your ads. And then you can measure these the use of this campaign or how good this campaign is doing for you by measuring installs as conversions for you. So you need a little piece of code that you can install on your app. And then AdWords can sort of track how many conversions you're getting out of the app install campaign and attribute it back onto the campaign on your dashboard. So that's also a very interesting campaign to use, especially if you're a largely mobile app business. Now, the next slide talks about how you can set up your own campaign. Now, setting up a display network campaign, you will notice that there's an option to choose a marketing objective. Marketing objectives control what settings are available based on what you're trying to accomplish and in order to help you create a good campaign. So say you pick awareness, right? So the intent behind this would be to spread more brand awareness about your site. So not to get as many clicks or conversions, but to get as many eyeballs as possible. So it could introduce customers to what you offer, and it would introduce the customers to all potential customers, essentially, introduce your brand to all potential customers, so not extremely targeted. And it would also be eligible to serve across the web. So it would be a very, very broad campaign just to get the word out there, per se. Then you could have influence consideration. What influence consideration sort of does is it would influence customers before they act. So before the click or the conversion is made, giving them the correct data at the correct point in their purchase journey is what influence consideration does. So say, for example, you sell insurance, right? Insurance is a field wherein people tend to do their research a little bit before they commit themselves to any one insurer. And because of that, it might be a little unrealistic to expect that someone sees your Google Display Network ad and immediately clicks on it and converts. However, it is realistic to expect that someone goes to your website, browses around, goes to a competitor site, realizes that your site might have had, the better options, but forgets about it. Then while they're on the display network, they happen to see your ad. And at that point, because you're influencing their consideration, they might actually go ahead, click, and then eventually convert. So this is great for customers who might be considering various options, and it would inspire customers essentially to explore your products a little bit more, get a little more involved with your services, and see if you're the right fit for them. And then lastly, you have drive action. Now, drive action is essentially, as the name suggests, to win new customers, right? So you want them to click, you want them to convert, you want them to pick up the phone and call you. These are for customers who are ready to decide. So they're so far in their purchase journey, they've done all the research that they need to do, they know who you are as a brand, and now they're ready to call you, they're ready to convert. So drive action ads are to target these customers. And these ads ask customers to act now. So there's a sense of urgency behind them. So again, they would very tightly target it to say websites or topics that your customers are interested in. And we'll get to that in a bit, so you'll get a little more ideas on how you can target these ads. But these are the large 3 buckets that you can choose while setting up the display network ads. Now, obviously, of course, we understand that these buckets are not perfect. So in case you want to have all the features available to you, you can choose no marketing objective, and all the display network features will be unlocked for you. Now let's go to using the ads gallery. The ad gallery, which was formerly known as the display ad builder, as a lot of you might know, is essentially a free tool that helps you create compelling, eye-catching display ads in a few minutes. So not everyone can have HTML5 ads or copy that is made for them. But what the ad gallery does is gives you a competitive advantage by helping you create extremely professional, extremely engaging ads in a matter of few minutes, right? So it has, if you've been to the ad gallery, you'll see it has pre-existing templates, and it also alleviates the high cost and the long lead time that often comes with generating a display creative as such. It's great for smaller advertisers especially, and the ad gallery also allows you to expand on your display network campaigns to include ad formats that are not just text. So all of the ad formats that we spoke about, which is like lightbox ads or dynamic ads, are also available in the ad gallery. You can create ads that are using your customized text and logos, and you can also upload images in standard image formats, including simple images or any animated images and videos as well. So as you can see on the screen, you have dynamic ads available, lightbox ads available, video ads available, Gmail ads, which run exclusively, as the name suggests, on Gmail, and also general purpose ads, which would largely be your banner ads or your image ads, whatever name you prefer. And that's the gamut of the ad gallery. Now that we know how to set up a campaign and also how to set up your first ads, let's talk a little bit about who are we targeting with the display network. How do we find the right audience for your business needs, and how do we target them? So there are 3 large targeting methods that I've bucketed out for you in the display network. One is audiences, right? So audiences is when you try and find your audience via remarketing, interests, keywords, or demographics. So you know something about your audience, such as their age, and you want to target them specifically. That's audiences. Contextual is not when you're targeting a certain type of person, but when you're targeting sort of topics that the person or your intended audience browses. So if you know your audience is largely going to be interested in a certain type of web content, then you can go ahead and target them. So say, for example, you run a ski lodge in France. You know your audience is going to be interested in topics such as skiing in the Alps or ski wear or lodges in France, etc. And those are topics that you can then use to target your audience. And finally, you have placements, wherein you can choose which websites you'd like to display ads on or opt in or out of automatic placements. So if you know that there's a certain set of websites which are extremely popular with your target audience, then you can go ahead and add them in as placements. So for example, say a YouTuber is extremely popular with a certain set of your teen market. You can go ahead and add them in as a placement and choose to bid higher on them. Now, after targeting methods, let's talk about targeting settings. Once you've chosen which method of targeting you want to use, you also want to sort of use the settings appropriately. So there are two settings that help you give a lot more control over where your ads appear. Target and bid, which is the first one, it absolutely restricts your ads to showing for the targeting method that you've selected. So say you've said that I only want to target my ads to a certain set of keywords, so only websites that match to a certain set of keywords, then you put that on target and bid, and that criteria needs to be fulfilled before your ad can even serve. So it lets you set bids for individual targeting, like say you can set £2 or $2 for the keywords buy football balls or buy soccer balls as you prefer. And based on your display keywords, ads can show on pages about soccer or football. However, if you want to say reach soccer fans specifically, then you can set say an affinity audience of soccer fans and set both methods to target and bid. So it's like a Venn diagram where both of them will overlap. So then the intended audience member must fall into the affinity audience soccer fan and also be browsing a website about soccer at that point for your ad to serve. Now, bid only works in a little bit of a different manner. So it doesn't restrict ads to showing for the targeting method you've selected. So say you set bids for individual targeting, like $2 or £2 for soccer fans or football fans as such, right? Using the same example, you have preference for ads to show to soccer enthusiasts, but you don't want to limit it to them. You know that they're a big audience for you, but they're not your only audience. So you can set your display keywords as target and bid. So your ads are shown based on your keywords. And then you can set your interests and remarketing to bid only with an increased bids on soccer fans. So what that does is that now the website that they're browsing on needs to be about soccer. But if they happen to fall into the criteria of soccer fan, you can just choose to bid higher. They don't have to fall into this criteria. If they happen to, you can choose to bid higher on them and be a little more competitive when it comes to this particular segment of people. Now, you also have advanced targeting combinations. Say for direct sales campaigns, to reach specific audiences, you can add a few targeting methods to ad groups that are set to target and bid. And then these ads can show only when specific targeting methods that you've selected match, right? So if you have multiple ad groups, you can go ahead and do this, and you can create your own variations of the overlaps. Then for brand campaigns, however, your objective is to reach as many people as possible. You don't really want to restrict yourself too much. Your targeting doesn't need to be too tight. So you add, say, one targeting method. Don't add too many to your ad groups, but then add multiple targeting methods on bid only. So say add one like keywords on target and bid, and then add multiple other categories such as topics and interests on bid only, just so that you can bid a little higher or a little lower on them depending on what your business objective is. So your reach is still broad, but it's still differentiated. Now let's talk about the display planner. Now, I know we've spoken a lot about how you can target your audiences, where to find your audience, etc. But the display planner, what it does is that it helps you back your choices with data. So it generates ideas for the display network targeting methods, including impression estimates, and gives you historical costs as well, just so that if you're setting up a campaign for the first time, you know what to expect. And it also estimates how your ideas might perform. So there is an option for you to add in your, the targeting method that you've thought of, and then it'll give you historical data based on that. And you can see in today's situation how your targeting method would perform. So before you take the plunge as such, you can go ahead and test the waters out using the display planner. Now let's talk about targeting more specifically. So let's talk about audience targeting, which was our first bucket, right? Audience targeting essentially helps you reach similar people to your current customers, or with a strong interest in your product and services. And as I mentioned before, this is based on you knowing something that differentiates your audience, right? So it could be people, say, who are interested in green living or are foodies, right? So they would be, say, affinity audiences who have an affinity for green living, or an affinity for food and all things food, right? Or they could be an audience list that you've curated based on the users who've been to your site. So that's called a remarketing list. So each time a user visits your site, a cookie drops, and there's an AdWords code that is usually placed on there. and it records the information for you and populates a list in AdWords called the remarketing list, which you can then use to retarget ads to users. Then you also have options to reach people who are similar to your current users. So those are similar audiences or in-market audiences. Now, similar audiences are people who have, as the name suggests, similar interests to those who are already in your audience list. But what an in-market audience does is that it helps you look for people who are currently in market for that product or who have shown intent to buy that sort of product or your product right now. So say someone's been searching for electric cars quite frequently in the last 5 or 6 days. They'd be an in-market audience for you if you're an electric car seller. And then finally, you could reach a specific demographic. So if you know you want to target, parents of a certain age, or women of a certain age and parental status, or men of a certain age and parental status, you can go ahead and do that via audience targeting, right? So that's essentially audience targeting in a nutshell. And then let's talk about our second bucket, which was contextual targeting, and a third bucket, which is placement targeting. Now, contextual targeting is essentially something that's useful for determining where your ads show, especially if you have certain topics in mind, right? So say you want to target a topic like travel or fitness. You're an app seller who has this great fitness app, and then you want to target people who've specifically shown a historical interest in that topic, right? So you might go ahead and choose that fitness as a topic for your ads to display on a website that is going to be about fitness largely. So you make sure you find the right people who are actively interested in your product and therefore going to be very likely to convert for you. You also have something called content keywords. What that does is that it matches your content keywords to the website. So say you add in a content keyword about fitness apps, right? If the website mentions fitness apps multiple times, that would be a suitable match for you, right? As opposed to that, you have audience keywords as well, which I should have mentioned earlier. But an audience keyword, what that does is that it matches the keyword to your user's search intent. So say I have been looking for the term fitness app. I've been searching for it on Google. Then your ad would be eligible to serve to me if you've chosen for it to be an audience keyword. If it's chosen to be a content keyword, the site that I'm on must be a site that is about fitness apps. And then finally, you have placements. Now, placement is something that you can use two ways. You can opt into automatic placements, which lets Google do the work for you and place ads automatically for you. Or you can use managed placements to display your ads on websites of your choosing on the Google Display Network. So if you have a strict list of sites that you want to add in, or even a strict list of sites that you want to exclude, then you can go ahead and add them or exclude them using the Managed Placements tab. Right. Negative keywords in language targeting. Now, these are largely used to prevent your ads from showing to people who are searching for, who are visiting visiting websites that you don't really want to show up on or are not relevant to your product at all. Say, for example, you sell wine glasses. You don't really want to be showing up on a website about eyewear just because the term glasses matches. So then you can go ahead and add those in as negative keywords. You also have language targeting, which lets you choose the language of sites that you would like to appear on. So say you want to target only German websites, you can go ahead and choose that option there. All right. Let's move on to bidding strategies. Now, bidding strategies is all about using the right tools to maximize your budget. Let me quickly explain how an AdWords auction on the display network works. So AdWords uses an ad auction to determine which ads to show and the order that these ads will appear in, right? Which are based essentially on ad rank. And your ad rank is, again, a factor of your max CPC and your quality score. So ads are ranked amongst each other based on ad rank, and based on this, your cost per click or the amount that you actually end up paying in the end is also decided. Before I jump into how the auction works, quick reminder, quality score is essentially a component of three large things, which is expected click-through rate, ad relevance, and landing page experience. So quality score remains constant, either through the display network, search network, etc. The way we compute it is sort of similar. So while competing for the same ad unit, say, for example, if the ad rank of a certain ad is higher than the combined ad rank of all the competing keyword targeted ads, then your first ad, which might have been placement targeted, will be the only ad to appear in the ad unit, right? So say, for example, so the display network auction is a little more complicated, because essentially if you have, it depends on your placement targeting or the kind of targeting methods that you choose, in addition to your ad rank and quality. So if you look at the example there, the display network so ad auction competes for one placement, right? So say Alice, Bob, and Charlie are all bidding on one placement. The one with the highest quality and also the highest max CPC bid, in this case, who is Alice, is the one who ends up winning the auction. We'll be linking you a short article on how the display network auction works in different scenarios. So you can go through that. That details out a lot more scenarios than I'm able to cover right now. And if you have any questions, of course, pop them in. Okay, let's talk about bidding strategies now. Now, flexible bidding strategies help you maximize your campaigns, and according to your key performance indicators, you can go ahead and pick a bidding strategies. So strategies adjust your bids using auction time details like the device, browser, location, and time of day, and help you take advantage of Google's automated systems as well. So the first strategy that you see on your screen is enhanced CPC, which automatically adjusts your manual CPC bid based on each click's likelihood of leading to a conversion. You also have target CPA, wherein you add in your essential cost per acquisition or your desired cost per acquisition, and AdWords helps find you as many conversions within that cost per acquisition. You have maximized clicks, where AdWords automatically sets bids to help you get the most clicks within a certain spend range. And target return on ad spend, where you set your bids to maximize your conversion value, where you have a certain return on ad spend in mind. Say you want, for every $10 of advertising, you want $8 of return, for example. So that's your return on ad spend. You put that into AdWords, and AdWords does the rest for you and tries to get you conversions and quality traffic within that same range. All right. So now that you've chosen your bidding strategy, you can go ahead and add bid adjustments. What bid adjustments do is it helps you increase or decrease bids either by the time of day or by device type or even location type, right? So say you want to target people who are in London a little more aggressively than you want to target people who live in the suburbs of Croydon, for example. You can go ahead and add a location bid adjustment against London. That in as an ad schedule adjustment, and you can have a bid adjustment against the morning hours. Same goes for, say, you want to be more aggressive to people on a certain mobile or a certain mobile device type even, or a certain carrier. The display network gives you this unique ability to target people even by these specific minute details. All right. Now we come to the last section, which is how do you measure performance? How do you know that the display network is doing its job for you? So your optimization of performance largely has, there could be a lot of criteria for you, right? You could want to increase brand awareness, you could want to measure sales and conversions, or you might want to evaluate your ad performance. And we'll cover all of these scenarios for you. Say, for example, you want to increase your brand awareness, right? You can use engagement campaigns to help increase brand awareness and brand loyalties. You can use multiple ad formats, such as the Lightbox ads that we spoke about, or you can use which are animated and which provide a lot of engagement with the user, or image ads, which are eye-catching. And you can use placement strategies, such as making sure that your placement is as broad as possible, having only one target and bid method, and multiple other methods on only bid only, just so that your reach is as high as possible and you're reaching as many people out there. But if you still want to keep it differentiated, say a certain segment is more interesting to you, you can add bid adjustments against them or bid more against them, right? You can also use bid strategies such as maximize clicks, or which will help you get your ad out there as much as possible. So not a conversion-oriented strategy, but a manual CPC or a maximize clicks type strategy, which will help you get your ad out there as many times as possible. Now, say your brand objective is to measure sales and conversions. You can do that using the report editor to build tables and charts. You can evaluate your performance by something as minute as an ad group or a keyword, or something as broad as a campaign. And you can use these reports, such as the placements report, to monitor where your ads have appeared. You can track your managed and automatic placements, add and exclude what you like, what you don't like. You can measure user engagement through click-through rate. So essentially, how many times is a user clicking on your ad? That is a great criteria to actually see how successful the display network is being for you, is doing for you. And then you have view-through conversions as well. And of course, you have standard conversions, which are run by AdWords snippets on your website. So you can use all of that to assess how the display network is doing for you in terms of conversions purely. You can also see, as we mentioned, when someone's called your business because of a display ad using call reporting, or when someone's made a purchase using e-commerce tracking, or when someone simply clicked on your ad. Now, the statistics to keep in mind are, of course, the number of conversions and your cost per conversion on the display network, and also your conversion rate. Now, this is something that people don't really look at very often, but out of the number of times that you're showing up, say you're showing up 10,000 times, how many times are you actually converting? And which creative is converting more for you? Do you have a certain creative which has a higher conversion rate over another? That is something to keep your eye on, especially on the display network where it's very creative oriented. And then, of course, you have keyword conversion data or targeting method-based conversion data to see which targeting method is doing best for you. Finally, let's move on to evaluating your ad performance. After you've looked at your sales and conversions, go back and see what worked, what led to the most sales and conversions. This will allow you to refine and direct your ads more successfully. So your basic checks are to confirm that your ads are showing, get a list of sites where your ads appeared, and see if your ads are getting clicks and impressions. So you know everything's okay and things are running as intended. But once they worked for, say, a week or two and you have enough data, you want to identify the ad targeting that is getting the most results, which is conversion. So where is the click-through rate really high? Where is the conversion rate really high? And you want to get insights into why your ads are matched to a specific placement. So is that, go visit the placement, see if that's actually relevant to what you're selling or what you're talking about. And also find out which demographic groups are largely seeing your ads. So you'll be able to see that under the display network tab and evaluate if you're doing much better within a certain demographic group so that you can up your bids or lower your bids as per the data that you see in the account. On the same note, let's talk a little bit more about how to optimize your campaigns. One crucial thing to remember is that you now need to use only HTML5 ads instead of Flash ads. You can go ahead and organize your campaign by theme. This really helps with quality as well because they're all thematically grouped and therefore your ad quality and landing page quality are going to be much better. So say you sell shoes, you can have themes like heels and formal shoes and outdoor shoes, etc. And this would be in a campaign, say, called women's shoes, right? And this will really help your ad quality because your creatives will speak to your ad group name, and also your keywords and your targeting methods would also speak to your ad group names. Obviously, write eye-catching and compelling ads, even more so on the display network. Take advantage of all the ad types that we have to offer and set your ad rotation to match your goals. So if you want more conversions, set your ad rotation so that you get more conversions. If you want more brand awareness, make sure you rotate your ads evenly so that you can see exactly which creative is doing, how each creative is doing in the ad auctions and what's getting more results for you. And keep monitoring and adjusting your bids based on this basis. You can also run tests in your ads. You can run A/B experiments, or you can run just tests in your ads to see if a certain demographic of a certain audience type is responding more to certain creatives or to certain styles. So it's largely all about being on top of your data, making sure you're seeing what the data is telling you, the story that the data is trying to weave, and then optimizing your campaigns accordingly. With that, we're at the end of this hangout. The exam details are that the exam is 120 minutes in length. You have 100 questions that you need to answer, and you need 80% to pass. You can visit the partner's site to get certified immediately on the display network. And also, we will be emailing over a pack or a set of resources that you can go over and help get prepared for the exam. Now, while I hop on over and see what questions you've left for me, I have a little bit of a pop quiz for you as well. So I'm just going to beam it up on the screen, read it out as well, and I'll give you a minute to answer it. Pop your answers in the comment section while you're watching this, and then we'll all discuss the right answer to this. So which report is useful in selecting site category exclusions? Which report is useful in selecting site category exclusions? Is it the placements report? Is it the ad group report? Is it the demographics report? Or is it the campaign report? So just pop in A, B, C, or D as what you feel is the correct answer. And meanwhile, I'll check on the questions that you've left me. All right, so the correct answer in this case is A, the placements report. If you want to add site category exclusions, placements report is where you'll be able to see the option to go down and add site category exclusions when you click on plus exclusions. And also, it's useful in selecting site category exclusions because you want to see what sort of placements your ads are showing up on, and if any of them are inappropriate or ones that you don't really want to be showing up on, and then add in exclusions accordingly. The next question is, which bidding option is best suited for an advertiser whose focus is branding goals? Is it cost per acquisition? Is it effective cost per 1,000 impressions? Is it cost per 1,000 impressions, or is it cost per click? Cost per acquisition, cost per effective cost per 1,000 impressions, which is ECPM, cost per 1,000 impressions, CPM, or cost per click. I'll give you a minute to answer that. As before, put down A, B, C, D, whatever you think is the correct answer. All right, so the correct answer in this case is actually cost per 1,000 impressions. And again, this is up to you as an advertiser, but in this case, cost per 1,000 impressions allows you to pay, as the name suggests, a set cost for 1,000 impressions. And therefore, for someone who has branding objectives of being able to reach as many people as possible and get as many eyeballs as possible on their ads, cost per 1,000 impressions would be an ideal strategy, because it will allow you to reach as many people as possible and also pay nominal costs for it. All right, so I'm going to jump into your questions now. Thank you so much for the questions that you've left me. The first question is, which platform is good for display advertising, AdWords or DoubleClick? That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. So while AdWords and DoubleClick essentially share the same DNA, there are a few differences that do set it apart. AdWords is definitely a go-to when it comes to online marketing on the Google network, and it works effectively on any client regardless of the size or budget. So if you're jumping onto the display network for the first time, definitely AdWords is your go-to. And with the display network reach that AdWords has, it is also a great it's a great option for anybody really. DoubleClick, on the other hand, does offer industry-leading tools that are suited for large accounts usually, especially the ones that require visibility across all ad networks and would require a little more of advanced marketing strategies. And therefore, it might not be suitable for all clients. So if you have a really large marketing budget that you want to spend across multiple channels and not just the Google Display Network, DoubleClick might be a great option for you. But AdWords is a stalwart when it comes to display advertising as well. So it really depends on your marketing objectives here. I hope I've answered that question. Can I use in mobile apps made by HTML, CSS, or JavaScript is my next question. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to here, but I think what you might be getting at is, can you show apps, can you show ads on apps that are made on any of these mediums? So this is something that's called, actually it's not AdWords, but it's called AdMob, which is essentially what app owners would use to monetize their apps. And the app needs a permit. You need to permit when you're building your app for ads to be displayed on them. And you can go ahead, and if you do a quick Google search for AdMob, you'll be able to see our program details there and see if your app is eligible for it. And if that's something that you're interested in, you can make your ad part of the Google Display Network. Which type of ad is more preferable in AdWords? Search or display? Great question. Also, I'm going to try and keep this answer succinct because it's quite a loaded question. But essentially, it depends on your marketing objectives completely. If your intent is to have extremely targeted ads as per the user's intent, right? So say you only want to target people who are actively looking for you. You might be a chocolate seller, for example. You only want to target people who've put in the words chocolate and are definitely searching for chocolate. In that case, search is your go-to ad. However, if you want to build your reach, so say you've penetrated into a new market, you've established a new shop in Brighton in the UK, and you want to spread the word around about the new chocolate here in town, Display Network is a great option for you because it allows you to reach people who might not know about you yet, but once they see your Display Network ads, they will. And then they might search for you or the products that you sell. So again, depending on your marketing objectives here, you can choose search or display, or if you want to try both out, you can use SNDS, which is Search Network with Display Select, and see how both work out for you. All right, I have, wow. What should be the bid strategy on the Display Network? Now, again, this really does depend on the business model. There are a multiple set of bid strategies that we offer. But if you're starting off, you can use cost per click or manual CPC, which allows you to manually set your bids and then see what's doing well for you. If you have a marketing objective in mind, such as getting as many conversions as possible, then you have options such as eCPC, or you can use target CPA or target cost per acquisition in this case. But if largely the objective is to use spread brand awareness, I would say CPC or viewable cost per 1,000 impressions or cost per 1,000 impressions is a great option for you. Okay, how do you install conversion tracking? If you go to AdWords, go to Tools, and then go to Conversions, you will see an option to set up a conversion action. Once you do that, depending on what conversion action it is that you want to set, say you want to set a conversion action for lead generation. Every time someone signs up a form on your website, you can choose that option there. And then what it'll do is generate a snippet of code that you then need to install on your website. This code, you can email it over to yourself. There will be a pop-up box in AdWords, which will give you the option to email it to you or your web developer. And then you need to go ahead and implement this code on your site. And you're basically all done. Once the code is in place, each time there's a conversion, AdWords will test it out, and AdWords will fire the code and register a conversion. How call to action works on the Google Display Network. All right, so call to actions is essentially how it works in advertising in general, is that a call to action allows people, lets the user know what you want their next step to be, right? So if you want them to click on a certain place, or if you want them to call you now, right? So they do definitely increase the CTR of the ad even on the Google Display Network. They're important, especially on account of the fact that sometimes the ad does not really fit very well on the site. So usually you have the publisher or the owner of the website would decide how the ads appear on the website. So sometimes, because the ad might not appear or fit really well on the site, the user may not know if it's an ad or part of the site, right? So a call to action definitely gives the user that sort of instruction, or almost that next step on what to do, and is a crucial part. I would definitely recommend having call to actions on image ads even while targeting the GD ad. And also, on that note of ads not fitting well, do use responsive ads, because they account for the fact that publishers might have different settings on different websites, and they optimize your ads automatically for that website. I think that's pretty much everything that we had today. Thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to see you again with us next week as we take the last session on shopping and getting you certified on shopping. And good luck for your exams. See you soon.